Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Afternoon. We've got some members who are across the street already, but I think we got enough to do this. We have a special bill today. Madam Speaker, always a pleasure to have you here. We've got House Bill 1010.
Yes. Yes, it is. Ready for me to start?
Whenever you like.
Okay. Good afternoon, Chair Gazzoni, Vice Chair Roosevelt, and members of the Senate Budget and Taxation Committee. For the record, I'm Speaker Adrian Jones. I'm here today to testify on House Bill 1010, African American Heritage Preservation Program and Grant Fund, non-capital grants and donations. As some of you may know, I sponsored the legislation to establish the African American Heritage Preservation Grant Program 15 years ago. And it's the only program dedicated to the preservation, protection, and enhancement of African American historical and cultural resources in the state of Maryland. When it comes to this important work, we can always do more. So to provide more flexibility in our effort to preserve our history, my legislation allows the program to accept donations that can be used for non-capital programming. This programming is a critical part of sharing the stories of the African American experience in Maryland and the unmet need to support these activities needs to be addressed. That's all I got. Thank you. And I'm asking for a favorable report on House Bill 1010.
Well, if that's all, Madam Speaker, if that's all you've got, that's all we need.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds like a great bill. Any questions? Thank you very much.
All right.
Oh,
Thank you.
please.
Yes.
No question, Madam Speaker, more of a comment. Just wanted to say thank you for your leadership. I also wanted to lean in and say thank you for the history of how this started and that I'm clear on how that did it. So just thank you again.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. All righty. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your session.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Top of the list, House Bill 59. Anybody here to talk about it? Oh, excellent. People are standing up. This is good. Come on up. 59, House Bill 59. Let's start again. House Bill 59. If it's not House Bill 59, do not come up. Welcome.
Thank you.
Please proceed.
Chair Rosebep, esteemed members of the committee, thank you so much for having us today. For the record, my name is Jake Day, Secretary of the Department of Housing and Community Development. I'm joined by Deputy Director of SDAT, Bob Yeager. We are here to talk to you about House Bill 59. House Bill 59 proposes alterations to Maryland's property tax sale procedures to better protect vulnerable households from foreclosure. This esteemed committee held a hearing on the original version's cross-file. That was Senate Bill 192 back on January 22nd. Essentially, the legislation would prevent owner-occupied properties from going into tax sale foreclosure because of unpaid taxes, $1,000 or less, and provide distressed homeowners more options and time to pay their debt and keep their homes. Since I testified before you on Senate Bill 192 and on House Bill 59 before the Ways and Means Committee, the department has worked with partners and stakeholders to find consensus on a variety of issues that I'll get into in just a second and create a bill that ultimately passed the House of Delegates unanimously. A bill I hope will have similar results in the Senate. To briefly address some of those key amendments, First, originally, in addition to property taxes, the provisions of the legislation included protections from foreclosure due to unpaid water and sewer fees. To address some concerns that were raised by local government, the department accepted a suggested amendment from our partners with the Maryland Association of Counties and the Maryland Municipal League to remove all provisions at this time related to unpaid water and sewer fees. While those provisions remain intact in law and in effect within Baltimore City, House Bill 59 no longer extends them as amended statewide to the other 23 jurisdictions as originally proposed. Additionally, the department agreed to further changes requested by the tax sale industry. First, when a notice of taking possession of property is mailed to the occupant of a property, a corresponding notice must be physically posted on the property. As originally proposed, that notice had to be posted within 1 day of the mailing. The department accepted the tax sale industry's amendments to increase the deadline to 10 days to post the physical notice on the property. Additionally, we accepted amendments that will keep the overall timeline for foreclosure redemption at 9 months, as the law states today, rather than the 12 months proposed by the legislation. That was also an industry request. The department was happy to accept that change from tax sale stakeholders based on their assurances and conversations with both House Ways and Means Local Revenue Subcommittee Chair Melissa Wells and full committee chair Vanessa Atterbury that no more changes beyond that amendment would be forthcoming from that group. So we worked closely with them to make sure that we understood all of their requests and were able to incorporate those requests. The end result was a bill that again passed the House of Delegates unanimously. A bill that extends the amount of time before a foreclosure action can be filed, caps interest rates on property tax redemption, freezes the amount owed at the time of tax sale, and provides homeowners with a fixed income the ability to enter a payment plan rather than being required to pay the entire redemption at once. A bill that will help protect some of Maryland's most vulnerable homeowners and prevent their displacement. A bill that I hope will see the support not only of the Senate unanimously, but also this committee. So I respectfully request a favorable report on House Bill 59. Thank you, and we are here to answer any questions that you have. Thank you.
Our next bill is House Bill 172. Anybody here with 172? There we are. Oh, stick around.
me.
There you go. Excellent.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, again, my name is Jake Day. I'm Secretary of the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development. House Bill 172 changes the Community Health and Safety Works grant program to better align with current program operations and state revitalization goals. Specifically, the program funds physical and aesthetic improvements that promote public safety and local pride and economic activity, as well as initiatives to improve economic justice, environmental justice, and environmental health. It passed the House without amendments, so House Bill 172 is identical to its cross-file Senate Bill 188, which received a full hearing before this committee on January 29th. The changes proposed by House Bill 172 create a more effective program that complements other state resources, increasing the department's ability to layer resources to revitalize Maryland's communities and create great places. I'm happy to answer any questions you have and would encourage a favorable report on House Bill 172.
Thank you. Any questions? No questions? That concludes the hearing on the change.
Happy to sit right here and contribute in any way I can. No, thank you. Thank you all very much.
The next bill is House Bill 6.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you. How are you, sir? Good to see you. All right.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Chair Rosapep and esteemed members of the Budget and Tax Committee, Delegate Chris Fair presenting House Bill 6. Public policy around technology use by government is always filled with vigorous debate, the core of which focuses on balancing the positive impacts with the potential harms of abuse of that technology. HB 6 is a way that we as a legislature can empower SSTAT to use common and inexpensive technology to conduct its business more efficiently, bring greater parity between real property owners in Maryland, increase state and local revenues through better assessment accuracy, assist counties as they manage constantly shifting financial realities, and ensure that we are effectively and fairly following our state laws and Constitution. As required by the Maryland Constitution, each property in Maryland must be assessed every 3 years. Considering that there are over 2 million unique properties in Maryland, this requirement creates a great strain on the dwindling resources and staff at SSTAT. With a constant trickle of new properties to assess, lengthy appeals processes, new legislative directives, and a significant decrease in staff over the last decades, these combined challenges have quickly become unmanageable for the department. As the department will tell you, it needs additional tools to carry out its mission with more efficiency and accuracy. Responsive to these challenges, HB 6 and its Senate cross-file expand on a program already existing in 9 counties. It allows SSTAT to harness common technology called Geographic Information Systems Visualization, also known as GIS, overlaid on aerial photography taken by airplanes in its assessment process. This guarantees that each property gets a current, fair, and balanced assessment within the constitutionally mandated timeline, all without burdening homeowners' privacy and property rights, with an assessor showing up at their property while saving the department money and staff time. A true win-win for staff and residents alike. The use of oblique aerial photography taken by airplanes, like Google Maps, an example of which can be found in my written testimony, allows assessors to quickly and accurately measure a building's footprint without being physically on site. Simply implementing this technique increases the total statewide assessable real property base by up to $1.25 billion, leading to $1.4 million in increased revenue for the state and $15 million to local jurisdictions annually. These gains reflect how the using technology to increase efficiency can yield significant benefits to the state and local jurisdictions without raising taxes. I want to thank Senator McCray for his well-considered amendment, which we have incorporated into this bill. It is important to reiterate that these photographs are taken by airplanes, like the hundreds in our skies at any moment, for assessment purposes only. Homeowners do not have to worry about their privacy being invaded or their security being compromised because these photos cannot detect details inside a building, and there are guardrails in the amendments to ensure that no personally identifiable information is collected by SSTAT in these photos. Privacy is actually enhanced by ensuring that property assessors do not have to show up on site to photograph and evaluate your property once every 3 years. Additionally, the storage provision of this bill will help create and maintain an invaluable resource for both SSTAT and our residents. In real time, SSTAT will be able to provide guidance and imagery related to their current assessment process for a given property and be able to more transparently communicate the reasoning for their assessment to any given resident. Finally, this year's budget plan contemplates counties paying an additional share of SSTAT's costs moving forward. HB 6 then becomes not just an important step towards taxation fairness and efficiency, but it's an important source of funding for local jurisdictions to maintain the level of services they provide and reinforcement of the integrity and independence of an agency that determines the tax bill for every resident and business in Maryland. I urge the Budget and Tax Committee to give our employees at SSTAT the tool they need to do their work, to use technology to benefit all of us, to ease the financial burdens on our counties. Please recognize the win-win benefit for all Marylanders and give HB 6 a favorable report. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Filed it.
Yes, you did. And a wonderful cross-file we have.
Do you have comments for us?
I'm really here, I'm Dan Phillips, the director of SSTAT.
Yeah.
There you go. I just want to say that we greatly support, we request a favorable report on this. This would be a really big enhancement for us in time savings and going out and not having to have the boots on the ground as much, which certainly does enhance the privacy of us not having to go on the property as often. There still will be times that we have to do that, but this will allow us to find buildings that are there and assess them more easily, and also find when buildings have been removed from property. So it will also be used at times to reduce assessments, but it allows us to be more accurate. I request a favorable report.
Thank you. Any questions from members of the committee? Going once, going twice? Thank you. But Delegate Fair, you need to stay.
Yes, I get to stay. We're switching out.
Okay. The next hearing is on House Bill 23.
Right.
Do we have some folks here to testify along with you?
Yes, I think we have Mr. Canali here, and yep.
Come on
Mr.
up, Eddie.
Madaleno. You might recognize him.
This is a problem.
Yes,
Welcome. Great to see you.
it's great to be seen.
Chair Rosapep and esteemed members of the Budget and Taxation Committee, Delegate Chris Fair presenting House Bill 23, the culmination of a 9-month study by the Ways and Means Committee, enables counties and Baltimore City to create a differential property rate for SSTAT-defined subclasses of commercial property. I am bringing this MACO priority bill forward on behalf of counties who have asked for this authority, honoring their requests of the General Assembly to allow local control and flexibility to manage evolving financial realities facing local governments that provide essential services to our constituents. Counties across the state have vastly different economies, each with unique challenges and opportunities. This bill acknowledges that reality and provides counties with similar flexibility as all 157 Maryland municipalities to set different property tax rates in their jurisdictions. This enabling tool may bolster counties' budgets as they deliver critical services in line with state policies. Additionally, any new tool for local authorities should have robust safeguards to ensure proper implementation. First and foremost, Marylanders' residential property rate cannot, I'll repeat, cannot increase because of this bill. HB 23 only allows differential rates for commercial property subclasses. Further, it mandates a credit for the residential portion of any mixed-use property whose commercial square footage is subject to the increase. For small businesses, jurisdictions are empowered to give a tax credit on any rate increase to ensure that small businesses are protected and remain competitive. HB 23 also mandates that all revenue raised by the counties under this bill must go toward 2 areas of government that connect all of our communities and improve everyone's quality of life: transportation and education. There is a cap to affirm Maryland General Assembly's intent to grant limited authority, limits that do not exist in municipalities. The cap ensures that jurisdictions have adequate flexibility for important projects, but that flexibility comes with constraints. If enabled, this bill will be a new tool for local jurisdictions to fund essential projects and improve government services for all residents, especially crucial to the challenging fiscal times we're in. Finally, this legislation is timely. As the state seeks to balance its budget, we heard unequivocally from our counties that they need help balancing their budget, honoring mandates, meeting increasing obligations, and funding critical projects in each jurisdiction. While the Maryland General Assembly has wisely increased its cap from 3.2 to 3.3% on income, the fact remains that counties need a little more support and flexibility from us. HB 23 is the tool that helps with fairness and efficiency and is a critical lifeline to our local jurisdictions to maintain the high level of services they provide. This pragmatic approach to local revenues acknowledges that our county officials are best positioned to make these rate decisions locally. We know one-size-fits-all financial policies generally do not work. Local officials know their communities best and are the people equipped to guide them through opportunities and challenges. Our job at the state level today is to remove the red tape and give the flexibility and allow them to serve their jurisdictions most effectively. I respectfully request a favorable report on House Bill 23. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Senator Madaleno,
Th-
welcome you back here. We're glad to see you. We hope you'll make the comments in the bill and also give us some advice about a deal. Budget crisis coming from Washington this year.
Okay, happy to sit here for the next 2 hours and talk about all of that. But thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the committee. It's a pleasure to be with you, and also thank you, Ms. Schisler. It's a pleasure to see her too. I wanted to. First, I wanted to take a moment of personal privilege on behalf of the county executive to thank not only Delegate Fair for his strong work and the whole House of Delegates, but also all of you on a different topic on making sure that the developmental disabilities community remains fully funded. I don't know if people realize this, but the county executive is the father and primary caregiver to an adult child with a developmental disability. This is a very important issue to him personally, and I know to all of you, and especially to Senator Gazzoni, that we greatly appreciate the work that you did to make sure that that community is fully funded. And thank you, Senator Zucker, for that hard work on behalf of families like the county executive. Now, moving forward, I wanted to talk a little bit about this bill, and I can't again, thank Delegate Fair enough for really taking it up and running with it and making the effort to secure its passage in the House of Delegates. You know, as a lifelong Marylander, someone who's lived in the state of Maryland since 1968, it is amazing to see the infrastructure that has been built in Northern Virginia, especially for those of us who live in the Washington region, to see the progress that Virginia has made in building roads and building transit. It's remarkable. So the county executive and I set out and trying to figure out what is Virginia doing that we are not doing. Virginia, about 20 years ago, passed more or less a transportation trust fund for Northern Virginia, as well as one for the Hampton Roads area, and they've added Richmond into it. They allow their municipalities, their local governments, to charge substantial additional taxes in order to go into transportation. So in Fairfax County and Arlington County, they have the ability to charge an extra 12.5 cents just on commercial properties, just to use towards transportation. They allow them to do a variety of special taxing districts that bring in money on commercial properties just for transportation. They dedicate part of the sales tax from Northern Virginia to transportation improvements. That means, and I know for some of you in the Washington area, this might be surprising, that means they bring in $300 million a year for transportation improvements just in Northern Virginia. This is a key component of that so that we can, and if Montgomery County wanted to do a Frederick County enabling legislation only, we could move forward and start to raise revenue in a way that would allow us to bond that revenue and build some of the improvements that we've wanted. It's a shame that Senator King is not here. Senator King, during her entire career, has advocated for something called the Quarter Cities Transit Way. And we've sat and watched a project start almost the same time as the Silver Line, which is now fully operational in Northern Virginia, while the Quarter Cities Transit Way sits just on the drawing board because Maryland has been unable to find the revenues to do this. And so that's why we ask for your support in this, again, enabling legislation so that your counties could move forward with starting to do some of the transportation enhancements that we so desperately need for our economic competitiveness, not only in Montgomery County, not only in the Maryland suburbs of Washington, but to the entire state, because we have to find a way to build infrastructure to recruit and retain employers, jobs, and residents. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I am happy to answer any of your questions. And I once again ask for your favorable consideration of this important and long overdue legislation.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Kevin Canale here on behalf of the Maryland Association of Counties in strong support of House Bill 23. This bill does not create a mandate, as you've already heard, but it does give counties another tool in the toolbox, another option. And right now, counties need options. You've heard about this bill. You've heard about what's going on in Virginia and what's not happening in Maryland. We know that there's not enough on the table right now to build the projects that we need, that, quite frankly, the business community says that they need to draw investment into the state. We know that infrastructure and education, those are the two top line items. Obviously, that's why they're in this bill. And again, the intent here is to give counties another tool. Nothing happens until you have adequate input from your community, you have debate locally, and then a county can decide whether or not this is the right option for them. But right now, the only option we have on the table are broad increases in the property tax, which is highly regressive. And it's just not something that is sustainable in the long term. So the idea here is to give us another tool to diversify the tax base, to have conversations with the community, including the business community, and try and figure out a way to give the business community what it needs to grow and thrive in Maryland, while at the same time not overburdening all of our residents and homeowners in counties. So again, we see this as a very, very good way to move forward. It's an option. We don't have any options right now other than broad property tax increases. That's not good for housing affordability. It's not good for affordable housing. So we're just looking for other tools, other ways to raise the kind of revenue we need to compete with surrounding states, and we'd ask for a favorable report. Thank you.
Questions from members of the committee? Yes, Senator Lewis Young.
Chair, I noticed in the testimony a letter from the Department of Housing and Community Development favorable with an amendment, and the amendment that they recommend is to exempt mixed use from this bill. I'll direct my question to the bill sponsor. Do you want to comment on that recommendation?
Yeah, and thank you so much for the question, Senator. I will say that The 9-month study, interim study that the Ways and Means Committee actually considered this exact challenge that dealt with mixed-use properties. And here's just a few facts that we kind of parsed out as we were talking about this issue. One, that exempting mixed-use properties would create a massive inequity. And so some commercial properties would then be taxed at a rate, whereas other commercial properties, simply by nature of being mixed use, would then be exempt from this rate. So that makes it naturally inequitable as a suggestion. Second, it opens the door for real hijinks. And I think that if you look at like a property owner who has countless commercial properties, they could just put an apartment on the top of it, suddenly call it mixed use, and then they suddenly become completely exempt from the bill. Or Walmart's CEO could build a house on top of a Walmart, and then all of a sudden Walmart's a mixed use commercial property, and then it's no longer available. And then it would also put us out of alignment with the exact projects that Mr. Battolino was just talking about in Virginia. It would put us out of alignment with what they have done. And so for all those reasons, I would suggest, and I will just add one final note, for those exact same reasons, I'll apply the exact same logic to the other letter favorable with amendment that we received from the CTIA Trade Association about the wireless communications industry. No, thank you, Senator.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
Now, there are a couple people who are not supportive of this legislation.
Is there?
Folks here to come up and testify?
Is there anybody here? Yeah. Oh, no.
Come on up. You just sit down and go in whatever order you want. Introduce yourselves and dive in.
Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I'll go first. My name is Tom Ballantyne with NAIOP, Maryland. We're a commercial real estate trade association here in opposition to House Bill 23. From our point of view, especially at the local level, commercial real estate requires fewer services and generates more tax revenue than any other class of property. And the expansion of commercial real estate tax base in recent years has resulted in commercial property paying a higher percentage of government services than they did a decade ago. In many of the central Maryland counties that are planning transportation projects, commercial development is already subject to impact fees, excise taxes, and adequate public facilities rules that result in commercial projects building infrastructure that supports transportation goals. So this, some of the purposes here overlap with those existing tax and regulation processes. The tax proposed here is also going to compound the slow return to office, high vacancy rates, and the negative absorption that we're seeing in certain markets and submarkets in Maryland. In Montgomery County, the office vacancy rate in the fourth quarter of 2024 was 22%. In Montgomery, Frederick, and Prince George's County during 2024, office tenants returned 700,000 square feet of office space, or 700,000 more square feet than were leased, so a negative absorption. These are headwinds that are still making these projects struggle. They have trouble with cash flow. Other places of note, in Baltimore City, the city center vacancy rate was 28.2%. These buildings are financed based on a 10% vacancy rate. And what we're talking about here is authorizing a significant increase in local taxes. And for those reasons, we would urge your unfavorable report.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Hugo Cantu, representing the Apartments and Office Building Association. For context, AOBA represents more than 23 million square feet of commercial office space and 133,000 apartment rental units in Montgomery and Prince George's County. The commercial office market in Maryland continues to grapple with rising vacancy rates, as you've heard, due to the increase in telework and hybrid work schedules. Even the most recent Montgomery County Economic Indicator report shows that county office vacancy rates are up 2 points. You're hearing actually up 4 points year over year, so 18. My colleague's numbers here are saying 22%. This bill is only going to allow counties to assess a special tax rate for commercial and industrial properties to fund transportation improvements and county school systems as required under the state's maintenance of effort law. The bill allows the counties, obviously, to set a special rate of 12.5 cents per $100. What we're saying is, and what we're urging is that the committee provides an unfavorable report because we're saying there's no rational nexus between office properties and school funding. The fiscal note represents a high watermark of revenues. The office values in Montgomery County have declined between 30 and 70%. And if that trend continues, the revenues will continue to dwindle, and the counties will be back here asking for more taxing authority. We're urging an unfavorable report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Grayson Wiggins here on behalf of the Maryland Chamber of Commerce. Would echo the concerns that you've just heard. Most of my talking points have been covered, but I do just want to note a few things that the proponents just indicated. They called the bill timely. I don't understand how this bill is timely when we have, as Mr. Ballantyne pointed out, significant vacancy rates in commercial properties across the state. 1 in 4 commercial properties in Baltimore City are vacant as we sit here today. And raising property taxes on those properties is certainly not going to incentivize investment, business growth, or job growth in those buildings. And we have economic studies that tell us this. And I know that there was a reference to a work group that was done in the House. My understanding is that work group included 12 county representatives and 1 meeting with 1 business organization. And so we'd be happy to participate and provide additional information here to the committee. Unfortunately, we were not afforded the opportunity to participate in that work group, but we'd be happy to follow up with additional information. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any witnesses? Thank you very much. That concludes the hearing on House Bill 23. Now we go to House Bill 85, and we bring Delegate Fair back. And there's a witness as well.
Yes.
Mr. Cole.
Mr. Cole. And we are continuing this theme of local authority. All right. Chair Rosa Pepp and esteemed members of the Budget and Tax Committee, for the record, Delegate Chris Fair presenting House Bill 1085. In 2015, 2018, and 2019, Baltimore City, Montgomery County, and Howard County each asked to extend an existing tax credit for their housing authorities to nonprofit entities controlled by those respective housing authorities, a concept that the Maryland General Assembly passed nearly unanimously every time it was requested. The jurisdictions asked for the legislation because available federal funding for affordable housing projects decreased year after year. To address the decrease, housing authorities sought to express the expressibility to create nonprofit entities that could seek different forms of funding and manage and hold assets for specific projects without jeopardizing their existing credits. So now, under local laws, the General Assembly passed, the housing authorities, affiliated nonprofit entities in those three jurisdictions only, can take advantage of various programs designed to foster public-private investment partnerships without impacting those projects' eligibility for other tax credits typically afforded to housing authorities under state law. House Bill 1085 gives the same ability to the rest of the state's housing authorities, allowing them to take advantage of the modern financing programs and legal ownership structures that Baltimore City and Montgomery County and Howard County use to facilitate their work. The bill takes a tool that has worked in 3 jurisdictions to lower costs and unlock investment funding for affordable housing development, maintenance, and administration, and enables that tool for the other 21 local jurisdictions' housing authorities. And just like the existing laws, counties may negotiate payment in lieu of taxes agreements with the nonprofit entities that will offset any lost local revenue. HB 1085 standardizes the toolkit for Maryland's public housing authorities. It is another step we can take to lower costs and barriers to affordable, sanitary, and safe housing in all our jurisdictions, and to address the housing crisis our state is facing. For these reasons, I urge a favorable report on House Bill 1085. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Good afternoon. Tom Cole on behalf of the Maryland Affordable Housing Coalition. We thank Delegate Fair for this very important bill. This is one of 2 priority bills for the Maryland Affordable Housing Coalition. I want to emphasize something that Delegate Fair mentioned, which is that housing commissions and housing authorities, they provide housing that often the market can't provide otherwise. Even with all of the programs that we have for affordable housing, with nonprofit developers, with for-profit affordable housing developers, housing authorities serve a critical, fundamental purpose in providing the most needed affordable housing in our communities. And this has been found, the ability to have the provisions received in Montgomery County, Baltimore City, and Howard County for all of the new housing authorities that have come up since then is critical to make sure that housing authorities can continue to serve that purpose. So again, we thank the sponsor for this bill and ask for a favorable report from the committee on House Bill 1085.
Any questions? Going once, going twice? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And I think Delegate Fair is allowed to leave now. The next bill is House Bill 84. Delegate Edelson. And we have some other supporters of the bill. They want to come up.
I don't know that we have support. I was under the impression that it was sponsor only, so I don't know that we have supporters in
Okay,
person.
all right, I'll take your word for it. I love that.
Make it
That helps
easier.
your bill enormously. Thank you.
Mr. Vice Chair, great to see you. Members of this esteemed committee, for the record, Delegate Mark Edelson here in support of HB 84. I will note that this is the direct cross-file of the excellent SB 395 by Senator Hedelman. The bills are in the same posture. The sponsor amendments to the bills are identical, so you heard this bill in this committee previously, so I don't want to belabor it. I would just note that you have a tremendous amount of favorable testimony in your packet from every corner of the state, from every community that would be impacted by it. I just want to note a couple of the quick major sponsor amendments to the bill, which, as I said, are identical to SB 395, which is that we have increased the threshold for project eligibility for the bill from $5 million to $100 million. We removed completely the Maryland Transportation Authority from being subject to the bill, and we added exemptions for any projects that prior to July of this year have completed their NEPA process or are funded for construction in the CTP. So the reality is that with those sponsor amendments, this bill will really impact in sort of the major expansion program approximately 3 to 4 projects across the CTP. So we've really refined it significantly to those projects. I think that that's probably the reason why it passed the House in bipartisan fashion, and I would urge a favorable report from this committee.
Thank you. Any questions? Members of the committee? Yeah, Senator Zucker.
Thank you very much. Good to see you, Delegate. Just had a few questions. One is, we obviously have a lot going on during session, but in the current posture of the bill, I heard that it could have a negative impact on roads, and just wanted to kind of get your feedback on that. And then another question that was prompted was that based on, I don't know if it passed this way, but for every new highway project, would it need a transit match to offset emissions costs?
Yeah, appreciate that. Great questions. First, when it comes to the roads, if you're thinking of this as a bill that's intended to be negative on all of our roads, I would say that it is not, for 3 reasons. Firstly, the majority of our road projects are really resurfacing, system preservation, maintenance projects. Those are all completely exempt under the bill. This bill does not touch resurfacing, system preservation projects. Second, as I mentioned, with a threshold of $100 million, you really are looking at a much smaller category of projects that would even be impacted by the bill. And those projects that are impacted, and this gets to your second question, what it requires is that MDOT does an assessment of those projects to determine exactly what will be the greenhouse gas emissions impact of the bill, of the project. And if it's going to increase greenhouse gas emissions, the requirement will be that MDOT go through the list of mitigating factors to net out those greenhouse gas emissions. So that can be some of the things that the State Highway Administration does right now, which is through better ways of moving traffic demand management strategies that they have. It's also things like multimodal transit options and things like local transit options. So the idea is that if this project triggers the assessment, they do the assessment, it determines that the project needs to have mitigation strategies. There's a whole list of mitigation strategies that they can use to address the concerns of the bill. Ultimately, what those will do, which again goes to, I think, why this was bipartisan in the House, is that it will bump up in the priority level projects around the state that improve things like congestion, pedestrian safety, traffic calming, projects in Frostburg, in Cresaptown, in St. Mary's that are not high enough on the priority list right now, things like improving sidewalks, intersections, local bike and pedestrian access. This will bump up those projects on the priority list, so it will really result in a benefit to the entire state.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, thank you.
Not that I'm trying to be a local person, but how does this affect the American Legion Bridge?
The American Legion Bridge, I guess it will depend on where we are with the funding from the federal government, if that's something that's going to happen. The plan for the American Legion Bridge that was for the grant right now has transit as a part of it. And so that's really the goal of this bill, is to say for those kinds of big projects that we have, we should have some kind of pedestrian, bike, bus, transit as part of the project. And so really it's for us to look at things like that and say, when we're building these big projects, what are we including with them that will help move people around, not just in single occupant vehicles.
Okay.
But a lot of that is going to depend on what the federal government ultimately does.
Right. The concern that I have, and I'm all for transit and all for bike projects and all of that, but a project like the American Legion Bridge that is drastically, there's going to be a tragedy there before we get the thing fixed if we don't. And I'm worried about focusing so much on transit that we're not taking care of the major road projects that are so critical, and the American Legion Bridge being one of them. So just saying.
Totally agree and appreciate the question, which is why in the grant application that was made, those aspects of the project are already part of the project.
Okay.
So assuming it gets approved by the feds and there's money there for it from the feds, it shouldn't change that.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. And I agree, safety should be our #1 priority at all times.
Thank you. Any other questions? Going once, going twice. Okay, that will conclude the hearing on this bill. We did have confusion about whether it's sponsor only, so thank you for, we only had 2 folks who wanted to be online, but given that it's sponsor only, this is the conclusion of the hearing.
Okay. I think I have another one.
You do?
Okay.
We have 399. It's sponsor only.
Okay. This one should be even quicker. For the record, Delegate Mark Edelson here for House Bill 399, which is the direct crossfill of Senate Bill 341. This is to allow the Baltimore Orioles to do 50-50 charity raffles at the stadium for all home games. The amendments are almost directly aligned. The only distinction between the House and the Senate bill, both of which passed through their respective chamber, is the exact construction of the geofencing. Both bills intend to have the geofencing for the O's Stadium. The Senate bill is a little bit more technical. The House is a little bit more general. That's the only difference.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, but the good delegate didn't say which one he preferred.
I appreciate that from my crossfile. I would say I'm fine with the Senate bill.
I said the same thing in the House.
Good partnership. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Any other questions or bonding? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next bill is House Bill 159. Delegate Lewis.
Welcome. Well, I should say thank you. And good afternoon. First, I want to thank my cross-file of the bill, Senate Bill 288, Senator McCray. It's very similar to what you all have heard, but there are some slight changes. It is my privilege to present strong support for House Bill 159, the Arbitration Reform for State Employees Act of 2025. This crucial legislation proposes a blend of constitutional amendment and statutory changes aiming to refine how our state government resolves contract disputes with state employees through binding arbitration. The core of this bill is to ensure a fair and expedient resolution process by engaging a neutral third-party arbiter. The current system in place doesn't provide any means for settling disputes. Often negotiations reach a stalemate that can't be resolved by the negotiating parties. In the current process, a neutral fact finder can be appointed to make non-binding recommendations to resolve an impasse. Due to the lack of a forcing mechanism to make those recommendations binding, we often find ourselves in deadlocks that neither party, management nor employees, can break. But even then, management can still impose their desired budget and leave other items unresolved. This situation we encountered under the previous administration, I should say previous administrations, resulted in state workers being denied the equitable negotiation process they rightfully deserve. House Bill 159 seeks to address this by introducing a more just and efficient method for settling contract disputes by utilizing a third-party arbiter. As written, this new system would see both sides agree to an arbiter by July 15th of every year, with contract negotiations concluded by September 30th. If an agreement is not reached by October 1st, an impasse is declared, setting off the binding arbiter process. Both sides get to present their best and final offer, which the arbiter uses to make final determination by December 15th. This legislation will ensure that we avoid protracted labor disputes and incentivize both sides to come to a mutual agreement. The process outlined in the bill ensures that there is means to resolve negotiation impasses the administration might have with our state workforce. This process is not revolutionary either, as binding arbitration has already utilized by a number of municipalities and the Maryland Transit Administration. Not to mention, the majority of states and the District of Columbia already permit binding arbitration for at least some of their workforce. In previous years, when this bill was introduced, there was discussion about whether this process would impact our constitutional ability to use budgetary authority. To answer that question, we requested guidance from the Office of the Attorney General. In response, the AG's office informed my office that the draft bill does not purport to limit the General Assembly in the constitutional power to increase, diminish, or add items to the budget bill. I'm happy to provide the letter received from the AG for the committee's review. With the response from the Attorney General, the process laid out in this bill creates a balanced and final process for contract disputes with the state workforce while upholding the legislators' duties as the custodians of the state's budget. This year's bill is slightly different than previous years, which has been introduced for a while. We also worked on an amendment that we took to exempt higher education from the bill as well. Our state employees are the backbone of our government, and they deserve a fair and timely mechanism to resolve labor disputes and contract negotiations. In light of these reasons, I respectfully request a favorable report for this bill and its Senate corresponding bill. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the piece of legislation. Obviously, thank you for the legislation on the Senate side. I have a question for you. As a person who has lived and bargained for binding arbitration within my collective bargaining days and understand it perfectly, why did you guys decide to leave out higher ed?
Thank you for the question. That was a tough one. It was one of the requests that came from USM, and it was one of the things that was negotiated that I believe also got the governor in his office to support the legislation as well.
Can you do me a favor? Do you have the numbers for the number of employees who work for the university system?
I don't have that on hand, but I can get that to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other questions? No. All right, that concludes the hearing on that bill. You have another bill.
I do.
Delegate Lewis, 1424.
Thank you. For House Bill 1424, and I also want to thank my cross-file Senator Charles, who has SB 683. Thank you for the opportunity to present the Protect Our Federal Workers Act. This legislation is designed to reaffirm Maryland's commitment to our indispensable federal workers who reside in the state of Maryland, providing them with the essential protections as they face potential job losses due to the current administration's destabilizing actions. House Bill 1424 proposes an expansion of the existing catastrophic event account. This expansion would authorize the use of funds to address situations involving the closure, relocation, or mass layoff within the federal government units. Specifically, the bill seeks to rename the Federal Government Shutdown Employee Assistance Loan Fund to the Federal Government Employee Assistance Loan Fund itself, so not just tied to shutdowns. It also broadened the fund's purpose to offer interest-free loans to federal employees affected by the unlawful firings. The current administration, led by Elon Musk and President Trump, has initiated significant downsizing efforts within federal agencies, leading to widespread uncertainty among federal workers. Maryland, home to approximately 142,876 federal employees, constitute about 4.6% of the state's total workforce, and they stand to be profoundly impacted by these actions. The potential loss of federal jobs severely threatens Maryland's economy at a particularly precarious time. In fiscal year 2023, federal contract obligations for work performed in Maryland totaled $42 billion, equating to about 10% of the state's private sector gross product. A sudden reduction in federal employment could destabilize local economies and disrupt essential services relied upon by our residents. Federal employment is a cornerstone of Maryland's economic stability, particularly in our largest jurisdictions. What we've been saying in the House all session is, for many states, they have a company town. In Michigan, it's autos. For California, it's tech and film. And for us, it's the federal government. And Montgomery is home to NIH and the FDA, employing thousands of residents. Prince George's County hosts the Internal Revenue Service and the U.S. Census Bureau. Anne Arundel County, with Fort Meade, a major military installation that contributes significantly to local employment. Baltimore City, the Social Security Administration, and the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Frederick County with Fort Detrick, and many, many more. The potential downsizing or relocation of these agencies would have a ripple effect, leading to not just the job losses of federal employees, but significant impacts on small businesses that serves these installations. By expanding the eligibility criteria of the Federal Government Employee Fund, House Bill 1424 aims to offer a critical safety net for federal employees facing involuntary job loss. These interest-free loans would supplement standard unemployment benefits, ensuring that affected workers can continue to meet their financial obligations during transitional periods. This support is vital not only for the well-being of the employees and their families, but our entire communities. In conclusion, one of the amendments that we took for this bill was that we expanded the authority of the governor to add more money to the catastrophic fund to stand up this program. We also increased the Office of Attorney General's federal litigation team by $1.5 million to make sure they had the resources to respond promptly. And lastly, I believe the Department of Labor has reached out about a friendly amendment they think would help to optimize the loan program's implementation that should have been sent to the committee. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Other questions for the sponsor? I would just mention, as I have mentioned to the sponsor, that I have a friendly amendment to add to the Attorney General's authority to be able to defend not only federal employees, but also beneficiaries of earned benefits such as Social Security, Medicare, veterans benefits, et cetera. So hope you'll consider that a friendly amendment.
I absolutely do.
Okay, thank you very, very much. Sorry? Okay. No questions? That concludes the hearing on the bill. Thank you very much. The next hearing, the next bill will be 1459. Delegate Buckle.
Thank you.
Sure.
Senator, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the committee, this one will be much shorter than all the other ones. House Bill 1459 is a cross-file of Senate Bill 861 brought by Senator Paul Quarterman, who I believe about a half an hour ago crossed the street and went to my committee and presented the same bill in the exact same fashion. We conformed the bill through amendments identically. This committee passed the bill unanimously. The House passed the bill, I believe, unanimously, and I suspect and hope that each of you, understanding the value of the Western Maryland Economic Future Investment Board and the Senator George C. Edwards Fund and what an impact it has for our 3 Western Maryland counties, will approve the bill as you had from Senator Quarterman's version. I'm sure his version was much more illuminating than what mine is, but in the interest of time, if there aren't any further questions about it, I would hope that you would move favorable on this cross-file.
Thank you. Any
Senator Quarterman has no questions?
I didn't have the committee as a sponsor call on my way, so.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll be killing your version as we speak. Thank you. Thank you, members of the committee. I appreciate it.
Step out for a minute, and Senator King is going to take over.
Okay, filling in here. House Bill 185, Delegate Mirakou North. This is a wonderful bill.
I agree, Senator.
Convenient.
Super convenient. Good day, everyone. Madam Chair, esteemed members of the Budget and Taxation Committee, special shout out to my own Senator Zucker, who just stepped out. But yes, I am Delegate Bernice Mirakou North, representing District 14, coming before you to offer testimony on House Bill 185, Therapeutic Child Care Grant Program Funding Alterations. And yes, thank you to Senator King for being my cross-file on SB 359. So you already know how important this bill is for families with at-risk children, developmentally delayed children, and traumatized children birth to 5. And you do know that my Senator Crossfiler, Senator King, and her Chief of Staff, Patty's steadfast leadership on this issue, which is why the Senate bill passed this committee and the full Senate unanimously. The House also knows how important this bill is. I helped organize a Ways and Means visits to Laurie Center, one of the recipients of this funding, and so the folks on my committee got a chance to look at the critical work being done for therapeutic child care and their families and how it's impacting their children's lives, which is why SB 185 passed out of our committee unanimously and passed later out of the House 136-2. But where our cross-file bills differ is the cost. My bill 185 was voted out of the House, mandating a $1.5 million per year from fiscal year 2027 to 2029. I understand the Senate version passed, mandating the full $3.7 million. Now, I understand the request from the providers and the families to maintain the $3.7 million. I totally wholeheartedly understand that. While the $1.5 million is a reduced amount from the $3.7 million requested, the reduced amount does reflect the House's approach to addressing our fiscal challenges this session, while still acknowledging the vital need to continue funding therapeutic child care. The amended fiscal note now says there's no assumed effect on general fund expenditures. And in addition, the $1.5 million from fiscal year 2027-2029 is in line with the fiscal year 2026 budget as introduced, which include the $1.5 million for therapeutic child care. So even as we address these budget challenges, I'm hopeful that both chambers can find a way to agree on the right level of investment for this necessary program. It's working so well for our Maryland families. And I urge a favorable report on House Bill 185. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. Great testimony, great bill.
Not a sponsor problem.
Thank you. I know we don't usually make comments, Madam Chair, but I just want to thank Delegate Mirakou North for her leadership on, and yours too. I know that it's been a team effort, but Delegate, thank you for all your efforts here. I know it's making a difference in the lives of families. So thank you. And
so
thank you,
much.
Madam Chair, for your efforts as well.
Thank you so much, Senator.
I invite people to go and visit at the Lurie Center to see the miracles that happen there. They would be as supportive as we are, for
Absolutely.
sure.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we will go to 698. House Bill 698. Delegate Allen. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think this is my first time in this committee, so it's good to see
We'll be
all
gentle.
your faces. For the record, Delegate Nick Allen here to testify in support of House Bill 698, which is cross-filed with Senate Bill 814 from your friend and mine, Senator Watson. This bill, just as a reminder, deals with the reporting of excise taxes and impact fees by the counties. The Senate version, the House version passed slightly differently. We've already conformed ours based on the compromises that Senator Watson, Mako, and I worked out.
Okay.
So my committee and subcommittee have already passed the 814 amended.
Okay.
And I can go into more details about the tweaks. Basically, what we're trying to do is we're trying to strike a balance between the specificity of what the counties are obligated to report versus what Mako says is too onerous. Originally, as drafted, the bill required counties to report on the impact fees by legislative and councilmanic districts. That felt like it was a little too specific. So one of the biggest tweaks is in both the House and Senate version, what we've done is instead of making the report to the governor, it's to MDP, and MDP does have the kind of GIS technology to make the address by address reporting of these impact fees and projects a little more specific, and that takes a lot of the burden off of the counties. So that's one of the biggest changes. But I can leave it at that for now, and I look forward to answering any questions and urge a favorable report.
Okay, any questions? I think you're good.
Wonderful.
Thank you very
Thank
much. Okay, Delegate Charkoudian, House Bill 296.
I think I have witnesses. Yes, there you are.
Welcome.
Great. Madam Chair, members of the committee, for the record, Delegate Lord Charkoudian asking for a favorable report on House Bill 296. So this is related to SDAT. And a few years ago, the exemption, so for business personal property tax, the exemption below which taxes did not need to be reported and paid used to be $2,500. And a few years ago, we increased that to $20,000. But in the process of doing that, we didn't change the rule that requires that a business have maintained documentation so that SDAT could check to make sure that that was accurate. And so one of the problems has been in trying to enforce and collect taxes without the ability to request documentation. Right now, any business, a business could have personal property taxes of $10 million worth, and there would be no path through which SDAT could request documentation if they were to say on their form that they only had $19,000 worth. And so what this bill basically does, it leaves everything the way it is in terms of the actual levels of the amount below which SDAT doesn't collect taxes remains at $20,000, but it changes it so that SDAT does have the ability to request documentation of that. And that becomes important both for enforcement of someone who is actively trying to avoid accurate taxes, but more importantly, sometimes people just get the forms wrong. And some of what SDAT does is work with businesses to make sure they filled out the forms correctly. Right now, if there's a major change, one year the personal property taxes get reported at $50,000, and then the next year they get reported at $19,000. Based on the way the law is written, SDAT does not have the ability to ask questions about what happened between those 2 years. So this just gives SDAT the ability to enforce the law, to work with businesses to make sure they filled out the forms right. And I believe we'll get more details in just a minute about what that looks like in practice. So with that, I ask for a favorable report on House Bill 296.
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Dan Phillips. I'm the Director of the Department of Assessments and Taxation. House Bill 296 will allow the Department of Assessments and Taxation to request additional documentation for entities that report less than $20,000 in business personal property. Currently, with those filings, there's simply a checkbox that says we have less than this. We currently are prohibited by law from requesting or auditing those people that check that box. This has resulted in, over the last few years, substantial number of reduction in the amount of personal property that has been reported that the counties use to collect property tax, business personal property taxes on. What the department is asking for is simply the right to audit those if there's a substantial change. Currently, we audit any return that shows a reduction of 40% or more from one year to the next as a matter of standard procedure, just to make sure that nothing has happened. But for these properties, even if they had $10 million one year of personal property and say the next year they have nothing, we are not allowed by law to audit them. So we simply want the ability, we don't want to do any more extra work than we have to in this, but if there is a substantial change, we want the ability to ask for documentation of why the change occurred. We would request a favorable review for this. I'd like to thank Delegate Charkoudian for sponsoring this bill and open for any questions.
Thank you very much. Questions from the committee? I don't see any. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Oh, we have two witnesses here. Okay, I see it. Kevin Canali, Daniel Phillips. That was him, okay. And Fatima Wahid. Kevin's not here. Okay, go ahead.
Hussain Wahid is my name, and I have been providing testimony regarding the Advanced Technology Acceleration from University of Maryland initiative that enhances implementation specifications and standards that are interactive. And it also helps reach out to citizens that have to properly assess their value of the property. It makes a big change because it brings about an awareness, and also the knowledge base is developed to accurately reflect what the property value is. And we noticed initiatives like these where you combine the examples that have produced transformative economic efficiency from small changes with respect to the implementation are significant, and they run into huge amounts. And that is why I think it is very important, this bill itself and what it does, but it also enhances the methodology and the algorithms that we are utilizing and enhancing. They are all free of charge. So it works both ways. It is supportive of what is being initiated, and it is supportive of what has already been accomplished. And it expands this knowledge base to multiple fields where similar economic efficiencies can be enhanced with respect to the utilization of this model approach and also the methodologies. So appreciate the bill itself, and thank you very much. It gives us an opportunity to apply and utilize what has been going on for many decades, and we want to make sure its utilization is enhanced as much as possible.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions? I don't see any. Thank you. Okay, House Bill 618, Delegate Patterson.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the Senate Budget and Taxation Committee. For the record, I'm Delegate Edith Patterson, sponsor of House Bill 618, State Lottery Internet Sales of Subscription Plans Authorization. This legislation authorizes the State Lottery and Gaming Control Agency to establish a system or program that allows consumers to purchase a state lottery subscription plan through the internet using personal or mobile devices. This is a modernization bill for the current antiquated system of selling subscriptions. Subscriptions are currently offered for Cash for Life, Multi-Match, Mega Millions, and Powerball through a mail-only program requiring players to fill out the paperwork online, then print it out and mail it in a check or money order to the lottery headquarters. This process to obtain a subscription and begin playing takes 1 to 2 weeks, depending on when the application is received and processed. I cannot begin to think of any successful modern business operating this way. This bill begins to address changes in consumer behavior. Consumers expect convenience, flexibility, and accessibility in their interactions with businesses and services, including government departments and agencies. The widespread adoption of mobile technology and online payment systems has fueled this shift. Unfortunately, the state lottery's current subscription process has not kept pace with these changes. The current outdated and cumbersome process discourages participation, especially among younger, savvy audiences, tech-savvy audiences who expect seamless digital options. As a result, we are missing an opportunity to attract new players and grow revenues for important state programs funded by lottery proceeds. An online system would enhance consumer satisfaction, improve operational efficiency for the state lottery, and potentially increase subscription rates, including the higher revenue for Maryland. This legislation will not impact lottery sales at physical locations, nor does it change the existing prohibition on lottery ticket sales through the internet. Maryland is not alone in recognizing the need for modernization. Many other states have already implemented similar programs. These states have reported positive outcomes, including increased participation and revenue growth, while providing security measures to ensure consumer protection and compliance with gaming regulations. By passing House Bill 618, Maryland can modernize its lottery system, meet the expectations of today's consumers, and strengthen the state lottery's ability to fund critical programs and initiatives that benefit all Marylanders. Again, this does not apply to instant lottery prizes. The legislation passed the House unanimously, and again, we are requesting a favorable report.
Thank you very much. We have a couple of witnesses here. This is 614. 618. Okay, got it here. Okay, we have Jennifer Beskid and Julianne Fiastro.
Thank you, Senator King.
Go
We're
ahead.
really just here for questions only. We both represent the Lottery and Gaming Commission.
Okay, thank
And
you.
I've done a good job, right?
Oh, and she's done a wonderful job, especially the language about bringing it from the 19th century to possibly the 21st.
Hey, okay.
That was a
Any
plug.
questions? I don't see any. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, what's next? Which page?
Howard?
634 is WIMS, and who's here? Let's do 634. Yep. Let's do House Bill 634, Delegate Wims and Delegate Miracle North. She's gone, but Delegate Wims can do this great.
Okay. Good afternoon, Chair Rosenpep and Senator King and esteemed members of the Senate Budget and Taxation Committee. For the record, I am Delegate Greg Wims, here to present HB 634, Fair Taxation and Justice Involved Individual Act. I would like to thank my friend Senator McCray for his leadership and hard work on this legislation, as well as Controller Learman and her office. This committee and the body passed the Senate version unanimously, and I appreciate your commitment to achieving fair tax system in our state. I would like to say that on the House floor, there was an amendment to the bill. The amendment excludes individuals who are convicted of a crime that was committed while they were holding public office from qualifying for the tax reconsideration program. I believe it up to this committee to iron out the differences in the bills, and I respect or I request a favorable report from this committee. Thank you. And I'm open for questions.
Great job. Any questions? I don't see any. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to skip up here to House Bill 1467, Delegate Howard.
Thank you. Good to see you all. For the record, Delegate Howard, very pleased to present House Bill 1467. It's an emergency bill. Essentially, what this bill does is it allows a specialized erosion control district to access funds for planning projects that they have ongoing so that they can access grant monies in the future. This bill was drawn up. It's an emergency bill, so it came to me a little bit late, so it doesn't have a cross-file. But this bill was drawn up, passed, not just the delegation subcommittee and the delegation and then the full House committee and then the House floor unanimously, all unanimously. This bill was drawn up, the amendments were drawn up with the full consultation and collaboration of not just the legal staff in the House, but also the County Office of Law. And I would be happy to entertain any questions.
Okay, any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you as well. Good seeing you all.
Delegate Schindler is. We have, how about House Bill 942, Delegate Schindler?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Honorable members of the committee. For the record, I am Delegate Matthew Schindler, and I'm here to testify on House Bill 942. House Bill 942 would enable county and municipal governments to establish a tax incremental financing district in a non-contiguous area. Tax incremental financing districts, better known as TIFs, are an economic development tool that is created when a development or a redevelopment project is going to add additional tax revenues by increasing property value in a designated area. The jurisdiction can then issue bonds to pay for improvements for public infrastructure, such as roads, parking, and stormwater management. The issued bonds can then be repaid through the incremental increase in tax revenue that the project will generate. TIFs are used all over the country and the state and have been implemented in multiple projects, such as the Frankfurt Estates in Baltimore City, Park Place in Annapolis, and the Route 36 Strip Mall in Frostburg. In these projects, TIF districts were limited to one specific geographic area for redevelopment. House Bill 942 would simply allow jurisdictions to implement TIFs that may not be geographically contiguous, which can assist in various types of redevelopment efforts. This bill has been amended to require that entities issuing TIFs should limit the redevelopment of non-contiguous parcels within the development district for affordable housing. Blight and economic depression are not limited to a single zip code, and neither should economic tools that need to revitalize our communities. TIF districts are a direct way in which local jurisdictions can create public-private partnerships to increase property values, create jobs, and holistically rejuvenate a community. This change to the TIF districts to be established in a non-contiguous manner would enable local jurisdictions to have greater ability to implement redevelopment projects, promote economic growth, and expand affordable housing. And with that, I urge a favorable report on HB 942.
Thank you very much. Any questions? I don't see any. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Delegate Kaiser, House Bill 953. Oh, were there witnesses on it? Okay, wait a minute, we have witnesses. We have witnesses.
It's a very quick one. My name is Hussein Wahid, and a confirmation, as I had mentioned several times, we did large surveys, and we found for over 100,000 applications, the methodology during the pandemic and epidemic for the last 5 years has produced the best results compared to other methodologies, because it is utilized fluently by those who know about it. And if it is not utilized, we noticed there are big gaps. You know, you have to redo many things. And we could establish very clearly that the advantage is significant with the help of interactive implementation specifications and standards. And whenever there is a revitalization initiative undertaken, it helps utilize and apply these methodologies much easier because people living there already know what has transpired, how they got the benefits, where they came from. And so they look at all these innovative and best practices much more favorably, utilize them, and they're much more open to the innovations and best practices. So it's a great opportunity for implementing these interactive implementation specifications and standards. And most of the time, whenever we find huge transformative economic efficiencies, we come across them by chance. It's not planned beforehand. It's just an assumption. Everybody knows about it, but it turns out very few know and utilize it. So it's a great opportunity, a great bill. I want to thank the sponsors and everyone for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you all for listening today. I'm here in support of Senate Bill 953, but really I'm just here as an excuse to see my favorite senator. Hello, Senator Zucker. I mean, come on, he's my senator, so. And on the record, that's who my wife calls when she has constituent service needs. She goes to Senator Zucker. Smart move. Anyway, again, Senator King, Madam Chair, thank you all so very much. My pleasure to come before you today for House Bill 953, and it's about strengthening the homeowner protection program to support low-income homeowners at risk for foreclosure. I've had bills related to tax sales now for 5, 6, 7 years, and I have in my written testimony I talk about how it tax sales disproportionately impact elderly, low-income, and minority homeowners, and we've taken a lot of steps over the years to try to help people. And sometimes these small amounts, an unpaid bill of just a few $100s, could end up ballooning into all these other costs and fees and late penalties and everything else that makes somebody lose their home and the equity in it when more could be done. And I'm also proud to, in working with SDAT and working on some of these issues, creating an ombudsman in the past to ensure that when people get one homeowner's tax credit or another, they know about other credits they qualify for. Because if we keep creating these great programs in our state, but then don't tell the people who need the services, shame on us. So we need to take those steps. So this homeowner protection program, this bill, as amended, adds some reporting requirements, supplementing information about revenues and expenditures from the homeowner protection fund and its fund balance. It does, as amended, cuts the money that we were originally intending to fund this, and this is the same amount of money that the homeowner protection program has gotten since its inception. But we're making sure that there's more advertisement, more information, so that tax collectors have to publish about this homeowner protection program, requiring the state tax ombudsman to take other measures to maximize enrollment and other features. So again, just trying to make sure people know about the availability of this great program so they don't lose their homes. So this passed in the House of Delegates by a vote of 134 to 3. I urge a favorable report. Thank you so much.
Good job. Thank you very much. Any questions? Senator Zucker, the favorite senator.
I was going to say it's my favorite constituent, but I don't see AJ here. So that's Ann's daughter. Good to see you. So I'll talk to the 3 delegates because I don't know why they would have voted against this.
Thank you, Senator.
Okay, I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you all. Good to see you.
Okay, House Bill 801, Delegate Spiegel. Welcome.
Thank you, Senator. I can't speak for Delegate Kaiser, but you're all my favorite senators.
Good move. Smart man, smart man.
Well, good afternoon, members of the committee. Thank you for your time. For the record, Delegate Ryan Spiegel in support of House Bill 801 to establish a financial empowerment center pilot program in Maryland. As the old expression goes, it's good to give someone a fish, but it's better to help them learn how to fish. And that's why I've been such a strong advocate for financial empowerment programs to address the negative impacts from decades of systemic racism and lack of access that has contributed to the generational wealth gap and to cycles of debt. And while other financial literacy bills focus on providing financial education in the academic environment, either at a K through 12 school or for university students, HB 801 is designed to provide financial empowerment services primarily to adults out in the community who have not had the benefit of that education or of access and opportunity when it comes to issues of debt and credit and personal budgeting. And we have a substantial population of residents, many of whom are minorities and immigrants, many of whom live and work in disadvantaged communities, for whom access to and education about financial services have historically been denied. And while direct aid is obviously important and it aligns with our values as a compassionate state, as a matter of equity, it's also critical for us to provide the tools and educational resources that can help address the root causes of poverty. If we want to have a more permanent impact and make more progress in addressing the generational wealth gap and those systemic barriers to access and opportunity, then we should also be investing in financial empowerment programs to give underserved Marylanders the support to build financial stability for an entire lifetime and then pass on those benefits and lessons to future generations. So as I mentioned, House Bill 801 establishes a pilot program to operate financial empowerment center services across the state. What exactly is a financial empowerment center? Well, during my time in municipal government, I led efforts to partner with state and local nonprofit and private sector and government partners to build a program that provides people with several sessions of free, hands-on, one-on-one financial coaching, often in multiple languages. The Gaithersburg Financial Empowerment Center also measures its own effectiveness by collecting and analyzing anonymized data from its clients. And with that data-driven approach, we've seen some truly transformative impacts of these services for families. In just the first year, one local center helped scores of clients achieve hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt reduction, as well as hundreds of thousands of new dollars saved by establishing savings accounts and budget plans, as well as a significant increase in credit scores and success stories like saving for a down payment on a first home, or being able to send a child to college, or eliminating a crippling debt. And so this isn't theoretical. These are real, measurable, life-changing metrics, and that's just for one center in just one city for just 1 year. Another local financial empowerment center is up and running in Baltimore, and we understand that Howard County is exploring one as well. And County Executive Calvin Ball has been a big supporter of these programs as well. A couple local centers is a good start, but we need to expand this opportunity across the state. And we can do that efficiently through the Comptroller's Office by adding financial empowerment to the menu of public-facing services that they provide. I want to note, we managed to get the fiscal note down to about 25% of what it was last year. It's a relatively small investment given the big impact of these programs. In addition to the direct impact on clients, there's also the ripple effects on our state and local economies as families have more funds to spend in the community, and also the promise of relief on the budget pressures for our social safety net as more people start to attain more financial stability and independence. Under the bill, the pilot is required to start in FY27 and run for 2 years, but the Comptroller's Office is advising us that they can begin in FY26 with a contract position for a certified financial empowerment coach who can travel to appointments throughout the state. The Comptroller has expressed support for this concept, and as you can see from the written testimony, we have a number of great organizations and officials supporting this legislation. And also, the Maryland Financial Education and Capability Commission, which is co-chaired by Senator Brooks and Delegate Stein, voted in October to support this bill. So, given the transformative impacts on people's quality of life and future economic opportunities, as well as the long-term benefit to the state, I respectfully ask for a favorable report on House Bill 801, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the delegate? I don't see any. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator.
Okay, we have Fatima Wahid.
My name is Hussein Wahid, and this is another opportunity for advanced technology acceleration initiative, and also it helps bring forward the results of the energy centers at the University of Maryland, especially the Advanced Life Cycle Engineering Center, which is ranked #1. And as I mentioned before, it started from scratch. Such initiatives, you build on these initiatives and involve more and more people. And one of the better outcomes of these two initiatives has been the one-on-one technology that addresses different needs in different areas. This is a coaching option, which is also great, but the one-on-one technology can be delivered online as well, and it complements and addresses larger groups of population at the same time while these centers catch up, and also benefits from sharing the information about the advantages of one center versus the other, what the results have been in these centers. So it's a great bill, and I think it will enhance the total economic efficiency that can be delivered through transformative interactive implementation specifications and standards, and also the bill that is HB 455 that addresses best practices and innovation with respect to the expertise knowledge that exists within the state. It expands on that initiative and the bill. Hopefully it will pass, and these two bills can work together and help each other. Also, I wanted to point out that based on such bills, we developed one initiative that was entirely voluntary, and it delivered more than $500 million of economic efficiency just because it utilizes interactive implementation specifications and standards. It's a dynamical system, complements the agile systems that are in existence, but there isn't a single one that addresses the two things, the agile resource system and the dynamical systems that we face in daily lives. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have anyone here from Delegate Atterbury's office, House Bill 790? No. Do we have? You do? Oh, good. Okay.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, and members of the Senate Budget and Taxation Committee. For the record, I'm Hunter Craig, and I'm here on behalf of Delegate Vanessa Atterbury, here to present and ask for a favorable report of House Bill 790, Tax Payment Plans Notice to Taxpayers. House Bill 790 builds on a piece of legislation Delegate Atterbury sponsored last year, which passed the legislature unanimously and was signed into law under House Bill 54, Transfer to Heir or Legatee Payment Plans. HB 54 established Maryland's property tax payment plan. This initiative was designed to help property tax owners avoid falling behind on taxes and accumulating costly interest and late fees. However, while HB 54 established the program, HB 790 is the communication component that will ensure its successful implementation. This new bill before you today aims to ensure that homeowners across the state of Maryland are properly informed about their eligibility for the state's property tax payment plan. It will provide the necessary outreach and notification efforts to taxpayers, helping prevent financial hardship and allowing homeowners to take control of their property tax payments. The core provision of HB 790 requires the state tax sale ombudsman within SDAT to maintain a website with key information about the property tax payment plan. The website would prominently display the following message: If you would like to pay your property taxes in monthly installments, you may be eligible to enroll in an installment payment plan. The site will offer a complete description of the program and a clear, detailed instructions on how to enroll. HB 790 also requires local tax collectors to include a separate insert with each property tax bill they send out to residents. This insert would carry the same statement about potential eligibility for the payment plan and would provide concise details about the program. Furthermore, the insert would include step-by-step instructions on how homeowners can enroll in the installment payment plan or any available local installment program. The bill also ensures that local tax collectors, when applicable, are responsible for designing this insert if local installment programs are available. This bill comes over from the House with some minor amendments. First, there is some clarifying language that essentially clarifies how the ombudsman would contract with a vendor to operate the installment payment program. And the other amendment was a recommendation by SDAT to move the enactment date from October 1st, 2025 to May 1st, 2027 to allow them more time to implement. In closing, by providing this additional layer of communication, House Bill 790 ensures that every homeowner in Maryland has the resources and information available to them to prevent falling into tax delinquency. This bill is a step toward safeguarding homeowners from tax-related financial struggles. I thank you for your time, and I urge a favorable report.
Thank you very much. Any comments, questions from the committee? I don't see any. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Is Ruth Brend here? On House Bill 1523?
Thank you, Ms. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, and members of the committee. My name is Ruth Freend. I serve as a legacy leader.
Can I get you to speak right into that microphone, please? Thank you.
My name is Ruth Freend. I serve as a legacy leader in Senator Gazzoni's office, here to present Howard County Local Bill, House Bill 1523. Howard County Room Rental Tax Maximum Rate and Distribution, Howard County 18-25. House Bill 1523 will authorize the county to increase the maximum sales or use tax rate on room rentals from 7 to 8%. They would then use the extra revenue to support Howard County tourism. House Bill 1523 passed the Ways and Means Committee and the House of Delegates. Thank you. I ask for a favorable report of House Bill 1523.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Would you like to go ahead?
Good afternoon, Chair Rose Pep and members of the esteemed members of the committee. I am Amanda Hoff, Executive Director for the Howard County Tourism Council, here in support of HB 1523. First and foremost, thank you for your work on one of the most challenging budgeting dilemmas of our time. We know your actions and decisions are made with much deliberation, all in the best interest of our state and the people you serve. Secondly, I'd like to acknowledge Senator Gazzone for his support of this bill and the House for their favorable report. On behalf of the Howard County Tourism Council Board of Directors, I request the full committee to support this bill with a favorable report. Howard County Tourism Council, Inc. is a community organization with members representing all areas of the tourism in Howard County. Our mission is to serve Howard County tourism businesses and organizations through effective marketing that showcases all of Howard County to induce tourism spending. Tourism is vital to Howard County's economic landscape, driving revenue for small businesses, restaurants, entertainment venues, and cultural attractions. By increasing the local hotel tax, this bill will provide essential funding to promote our county as a premier destination, attracting more visitors, generating increased spending, and ultimately benefiting our local economy. The 1% hotel tax increase aligns Howard County with other central Maryland counties and jurisdictions, including Anne Arundel, Montgomery, Baltimore County and City, and National Harbor in Prince George's County. Members of our local hotel community, the Maryland Hotel Lodging Association, and the Maryland Tourism Coalition support this bill. Last, investing in tourism marketing has a proven return on investment. Other jurisdictions have implemented similar measures and have experienced growth in hotel occupancy, higher spending at local businesses, and increased tax revenues. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much. Any questions? I don't see any. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, what bill are you here with?
Madam Chair, I'm here for House Bill 1343, Delegate Dana Jones.
Let's see.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, go, yes. Come on up, thank you.
Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the committee, thank you so much. I'm here on behalf of Delegate Dana Jones. Unfortunately, she was not able to be here today. I'm going to be presenting House Bill 1343, Anne Arundel County Property Tax Daycare Centers and Child Care Centers. This legislation would expand the authority of Anne Arundel County to exempt certain personal property used for business purposes from taxation, as well as grant property tax credits to owners of licensed large child care families. Large child care family homes. As we know, Maryland is in a child care crisis, and a lack of providers is a key piece of that crisis. So House Bill 1343 will provide the county with another tool to ease provider costs to address the crisis. This bill has received unanimous support for the county delegation and was voted today favorably by the Senate delegation. With that, I respectfully request a favorable report, and also has favorable support from the county executive's office.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments or questions? I think we're good, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I don't have any, what was that bill number? I'm looking for witnesses on this bill. The one we just finished.
Anne Arundel Daycare, 1343.
1343.
I got it. Nope, no one.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, next we have House Bill 1061, Delegate Moon.
Good afternoon, Senators. House Bill 1061 is a bill to try and get more housing built on state land. I'm glad Senator Hedelman just walked in. This is actually a bill that is tweaking a bill that Senator Hedelman was able to get passed. And what the original bill did was when land is designated surplus in Maryland, unused by the state-owned land, it gets scored as to whether that land could be used to construct housing. You know, are there utilities and roads and things of that nature? And if the answer is yes, then the state now has a fairly new process to try and put that land out for sale for affordable housing. And I believe I saw at least one property get disposed of in this manner, again, so that state land would be used for affordable housing. So the bill before you, HB 1061, alters Senator Hedelman's proposal in a small but I think significant way. I do believe that affordable housing is a laudable goal, but there are only so many residents, businesses, or developers who are going to construct affordable housing at various price points and put together those deals. So what this bill says is if you cannot find someone to put affordable housing there, you can certainly look at mixed income housing, market rate housing, and mixed use developments that contain some affordable housing. And I think that actually comports more closely to how affordable housing is constructed in many parts of the state. In Montgomery County, where I'm from, for example, 15% of all new construction has to be affordable housing. So again, all this bill does at this point is opens the possibility that if we can't find an affordable housing developer, we will next look to mixed use, mixed income, other types of development. So again, just trying to put state land to use, solving one of the critical challenges of the day. There is a fiscal note. So DGS and DHCD are the impacted agencies. They appear to believe they need a new PIN or two in order to do this. But again, it's an existing process that I'm just tweaking some of the criteria on. If they want to clarify that to eliminate the need for another PIN, I think that's easily doable. But if there really is a need for a new PIN, I will say this ought to be a program that is paying for itself, because we are selling properties. And again, the cost of even constructing a single new affordable housing unit in my county is about $500,000. So anything we can do to get more housing units put online with other people's money is well worth it.
Thank you. Senator Jackson.
Chair, thank you for the bill. Quick question. You mentioned probably 3 or 4 times, if you cannot find someone to build an affordable housing development, what does that mean? And what's the timeline of someone saying, or what's the criteria that they cannot find? I liken this, Delegate, to something we've heard oftentimes in certain communities across our state, that we'll bring you a grocery store as long as we can bring alcohol with it. So, can you please?
Well, I think part of that would be up to the agency, and I think they'd have to put regs around that. Certainly, if you wanted to put your own spin and specificity on it, we are certainly invited to intervene and add that clarity. But again, to my mind, the original bill, I think, was a little bit too strict, though well-intentioned, because affordable housing, I believe, is fairly loosely, if at all, defined in how we're currently doing it. But as I would note, the affordable housing could be some percentage of affordable housing in a building that otherwise has mixed income or market rate units, or it could be part of an office or retail mixed use complex that contains affordable housing. And certainly, I don't think we intended to preclude, again, unused state land from being used for those other types of development. And certainly, I have to say also, I think it's an important point that while I think affordable housing is important for the state to construct, and we surely have no shortage of housing problems, we need housing at all income levels. And to attract high earners, actually, through market rate, quality neighborhoods and market rate construction is something for the out year budget scenarios we really have to be focusing on attracting high earning residents to Maryland.
Got you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks.
Any questions? Senator Heddleman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just reminding myself of how the process works, because when we crafted it originally, we thought that it would mostly be donations of land. And so when you're bringing in for-profit developers or other kinds of uses for the land, how do you envision
We
that sale?
deprioritized it so that it's the nonprofit or affordable housing is the first in line for this, essentially. But if the land's unused and we're trying to get it put to use for housing and no one's showing up trying to construct affordable housing on it, then the next questions are the ones I'm posing. All right, will anyone show up and do either a purchase or a donation if it's a mixed income, mixed use, what have you, housing proposal?
So does DHCD and planning, they come up with?
I would think they would do this by regs, but again, if we want to intervene with specificity as to how we want that to look, we certainly could. But part of the reason this jumped out at me is, and again, I don't fault the way this was initially constructed, because the goal was clearly affordable housing, but the scoring mechanism that we're currently doing under current law, it actually has nothing to do with whether the housing is affordable or not. It's, are there utilities available? Are there roads available? Is it otherwise zoned for housing? And if the answer is yes, then actually what we're saying is this is unused state land that's good for housing. Now, after that analysis is done, we can then impose an order of priority for how we dispose of that property. But it's already the case that the existing scoring is not really about affordable housing. That just happens to be the goal of the bill at the onset. So I said, why not actually open it to other housing types?
All right, thank you.
I think that's it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we have House Bill 859, Delegate Solomon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for your patience. I was in Tripoli. It is nice to see you all. For the record, Delegate Jared Solomon presenting House Bill 859. Happy opening day to those of you who celebrate. And I want to first off start by thanking Madam Chair, Senator King, for her incredible partnership on this bill. And so another good one, exactly. And as you can see from one of the amendments on here, I believe every Democrat from the House and Government Operations Committee amended themselves on as a co-sponsor. So further shows you. So just very quickly, I'll outline sort of what we did with this bill. First and foremost, the intent of this is to try to address what we know is a growing need, and it's something that Senator King and I have worked on for a long time, and I know many of you have, and it's been a real priority for the General Assembly and our two committees, Appropriations and Budget and Tax, is really trying to bolster the child care community, and in particular, how we help strengthen the workforce of child care, which we know if we don't have the appropriate workers in the child care industry, then we don't have child care, which is really the workforce behind the workforce. And so what we started working on in the summer and the fall was really a way that we thought we might be able to get at strengthening access to health insurance, which we know is a huge problem in the child care world. It's also a problem, for home health care aides, for folks in the disability community, disability providers as well. But we thought we sort of found a nice little loophole with strengthening access to health care by allowing certain types of child care providers to potentially enroll under the state plan. We've been working with DBM really since the fall. That is not a viable option. So that whole part of the bill is struck. There are other sectors that are added in there, but DBM has taken a very different position on this now than they did 10 years ago when the last qualifying nonprofit entity was added in. So that whole portion of the bill really from page 3 on is completely out. We're going to do some more work with them to see if there's a way to do anything there. But what we've done instead is we have worked with the Maryland Health Benefits Exchange to really get them to do a targeted outreach campaign to child care providers to work across the state to really sit down with providers, do in-person events, do Zoom events, really do an entire panoply of things that get information to providers on what they're eligible for. We do think that a lot of, because a lot of child care providers, frankly, do not earn a ton of money, most of them probably qualify for plans on our exchange. It's probably a high number that already are eligible for Medicaid, but just may not know how to do it. So we worked really closely with the Benefits Exchange to get them comfortable with what we were doing. They were actually super excited about it. They have been doing some of this already, but obviously their resources are somewhat limited. So the bill does have a $250,000 fiscal note, but we've taken care of that already. So there was an additional $2 million that the governor actually put in his budget for to go into the revolving capital loan program for child care providers that we created a few years ago. And working with the governor's team, they were comfortable with us taking $250,000 out of that new $2 million pot. So again, we're not adding any new money. We're just taking a small portion of additional money that the governor already put in the budget and have it go directly to the Benefits Exchange pending passage of this legislation. That amendment was added to the budget in the House, which we passed yesterday, and so that is in there. The poor folks at DLS just said we can't put that in the fiscal note because we have to write it before you've technically passed the budget. We trust you, but we have to see it in there. So that fiscal note is already taken care of. Again, the Benefits Exchange folks are really great partners. They approve the language that we put in here, and they're really excited to be able to do this. The nice thing is, obviously, if you get somebody enrolled in healthcare, it's a lot easier for them to stay in healthcare. And so while we would love to do something even more expansive if we had the budget, where, you know, a lot of other states are literally just providing, you know, subsidies to certain folks in certain really high need positions. We obviously don't have the budget for that right now. So this is just a really good start to at least target certain communities for the programs that we already have, and making sure that folks are being able to use the benefits that we've done such an amazing job as a legislative body in setting up. So with that, happy to take any questions and would urge a favorable report.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
I actually have a question.
Go right ahead.
Thank you. I'm trying to catch up here at the 30,000-foot level. Child care providers is like all child care providers, institutional as well as home child care providers, or who's the market exactly?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, so we have asked them to sort of prioritize providers who take child care scholarships, because obviously those are providers that target the most in need students and children in the state. But this would be available for everybody. And so, you know, they already do some of this in a limited fashion. Like they will go to you know, the Maryland State Child Care Association. I know many of you have been to their event as speakers. You know, they hold a couple of big conferences every year. They'll go and set up a booth, but this is more like, you know, they have their regional outreach folks. Like they might actually go to they might visit 4 or 5 childcare centers in a day and say, you know, you've got 100 employees. For those of you that don't have health insurance, this is how you would enroll. Maybe they'll do an enrollment fair or something like that.
That's great, but aren't all child care providers, I don't know the rules that well, but they're licensed, right?
Correct.
Wouldn't the licensing agency be a great vehicle to reach them?
So that is a great question, Mr. Vice Chair. So they are actually working in concert. I didn't mention this. The Health Benefits Exchange will be working in concert with MSDE to get essentially the list of every licensed provider to work in concert.
Great.
MSDE just doesn't have the specific knowledge and targeted expertise.
No, I'm sure that's right.
Yeah.
But they know who the customers are.
Exactly, yeah.
Gotcha,
And I
gotcha.
should have mentioned, and one of the other things actually that
Great.
we've asked them to do, again, working with MSDE, is a survey, working with, you know, one of the, like maybe a Maryland Family Network or one of our large nonprofit policy organizations, because obviously there's a much broader conversation, I think, that many of us are going to have over the next couple of years around affordability of our child care program.
Yeah.
And knowing what the landscape of healthcare availability is really important in that conversation.
great.
So they'll be able to tell us, you know, maybe only 20% of providers actually provide health insurance to their staff.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. I don't see any other questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Delegate Embry? Yes. All right, good guess. House Bill 961, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Sorry you had to sit there so long.
Oh, no, I had to run down and I had a bill hearing in JPR, so I thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
And Chair and Mr. Vice Chair and everyone, very nice to be here. This is House Bill 961, which is the cross-file of the bill that you heard from Senator Kagan. And the purpose of this bill is to protect artists, but also to protect our public investment in public art. By protecting artists' rights under the Visual Artists Representation Act, federal law since 1990, which provides what are called moral rights to artists. These are only visual artists, rights in 2 sort of categories. One is rights of attribution, so that an artwork that is not, if their artwork is defaced or changed in some significant way, they have the right to say, my name should not be on that, that's not my artwork. But also rights with regard to the moving, defacing, destroying of the art. And so the bill would say that if a piece is being commissioned by an entity that receives state money, they would not be able to, they'd preclude the artist from participating unless they affirmatively waived their rights under VERA. It would still allow, with amendments that I believe Senator Kagan also put forward, it would still allow negotiations to take place once they were selected, including full waiver or partial waiver, but it would not bar their participation up front. And we also added registration of these commissioned public art with the Maryland State Arts Council, so that the State Arts Council can be helpful if the artist needs to be notified down the road if the art needs to be moved or changed in some way. And with that, I will thank you and ask for a favorable report.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions? I don't see any. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone here in the audience to be testifying on a bill? Delegate Weevil. Weevil?
I'm sorry.
Come on up. Oh, you need Weevil, okay.
Yes, good afternoon.
Okay, what bill is this?
Absolutely, good afternoon. This is House Bill 1078 that I am presenting before the wonderful Budget and Taxation Committee.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me. I see Vice Chair Rosapap and all of the other members of the committee. I'm Delegate Nicole Williams from District 22 in Prince George's County. This bill is known as the Prince George's County Federal Bureau of Investigation Headquarters Appropriations. This bill would require the governor to include at least $200 million in the annual capital budget for site redevelopment and transportation infrastructure improvements if the U.S. General Services Administration relocates the Federal Bureau of Investigation headquarters to Prince George's County, Maryland. As stated in the fiscal note, this bill has no effect because general obligation bond funding of $200 million was already authorized in years past for the FBI headquarters project and satisfies the bill's mandate. If the already authorized GO bond funding for the FBI headquarters project is repurposed, this bill merely requires the same amount of funding to be appropriated if and when the project moves forward. The new FBI headquarters is projected to bring about 75,000 new jobs and generate over $4 billion in economic activity here to the state of Maryland. Putting aside this funding for redevelopment and improvement is imperative for the upkeep and proper functioning of the site and surrounding infrastructure. This bill will ensure a small but critical investment in supporting a government agency that has the potential to bring new jobs and billions of dollars to our state. And for those reasons, I urge this committee to give a favorable report to House Bill 1078.
Okay. I don't see any questions. Thank you very much. Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have anyone here yet for House Bill 1333? Do you want to come on up?
I apologize for being late. I was in
That's all right.
finance, so. Madam Chair, members of the committee, I'm Delegate Weivel. I'm pleased to present House Bill 1333, Washington County Property Tax Credit for Disabled Veterans Eligibility. The statute authorized the county to grant a property tax credit on the legal residence of an honorably discharged disabled veteran or their surviving spouse. This bill is actually clarifying in nature as it deletes reference to active military, naval, or air service in the statute itself and instead refers it to the uniformed services in the U.S. Code. We also had a similar bill in the House that's doing the same thing for Maryland, other bills in the Maryland Code. So it basically codifies current practice. It has the support of Washington County delegation, the Washington County Commissioners, the Washington County Treasurer, who's with me, who advanced the bill. It passed committee by a vote of 18-0 and the House by a vote of 136-1, and we respectfully ask for a favorable report.
Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you, and thank you for taking the time.
Pull the microphone in front of you, please.
I'm sorry, Matt Breeding, Washington County Treasurer.
There you go.
So I'm a retired Army officer and held this position, and going through the files, I realized that we had a problem with the wording of the bill, where it was called veterans was the phrase, but when we actually looked it up in the law, in the code, it addressed members of the armed forces of the Army and the Navy, and eliminated the Coast Guard and two other services, the Public Health Service and NOAA, National Oceanographic Atmospheric Administration. And I found it has been the policy of my predecessor to approve veterans' disability applications when approved by the Veterans Administration. So my intent was just to clarify this just for any future legal challenges. Thank you.
I don't see any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now you've got another one here.
Yes, 1372.
1372.
Yes, good afternoon. Again, I'm Delegate Weivel. Pleased to present House Bill 1372, Washington County Notice of Tax Sale Alterations. The bill is a local bill, proposes to alter the manner in which tax sales are advertised, as well as imposing additional requirements on notices provided after the sale of the property. The language requires notice to be published 2 times in the newspaper. It's currently advertised 4 times, but also once per week and alternate weeks, and posting on the county's website 4 weeks prior to the sale. The language also requires the newspaper notice to include reference to the county's website, and additionally requires the website to be updated weekly. In addition, the language requires that a second notice be sent within 15 days after the first notice, notifying the property owner that their property has been sold to satisfy unpaid taxes. Currently, only 1 notice is sent post-sale. The newsprint of today is different from that when I used to deliver newspapers, and this legislation seeks to modernize our notices of tax sales. The legislation is supported by the county treasurer, again, who's here with me. It passed unanimously in both the House Ways and Means Committee as well as the full House, and I respectfully ask for a favorable report on House Bill 1372.
Good afternoon, committee. Again, my name is Matt Breeding, County Treasurer for Washington County, Maryland. I've held the office for 2 years, and after doing an analysis on the return on the investment for the newspaper advertisement, I found very little. While the Maryland Tax Property article does not require all the efforts I take, I mail out in January an initial reminder notice, in February a second notice, and a third notice in March. That exceeds the state requirement by 2. What has concerned me about this is the cost of the newspaper advertising, because it's not borne by my budget. It's not borne by the county. It's borne by the taxpayer when the property is redeemed. And it's costing that taxpayer, that customer, that person's home is in jeopardy, upwards of $150 added to a tax bill they can't already pay. By law, I'm required to sell a property when the tax amount exceeds a certain amount, and that amount for an occupied property is $750. The imposition of that additional $150, I believe, is an unfair burden. With that said, I've called some of my peers around the state, and I found out in other areas like St. Mary's County, that burden is $28. And my purpose is to make things easier. When I testified to the Western Maryland delegation why I wanted this bill, and I explained it, and I said the only place I've asked for any budget increase in my budget is to double my personal vehicle mileage. And I take it upon myself, if I know the homeowner, if I can find them, to drive to their home if the mail is unreturned, to do everything I can to make them aware the home is in jeopardy. This year I outsourced the tax bill reminder notice to a company in Northern Virginia at a savings of about $6,000 to the county. And by adding 1 cent to the cost of the mailing, and this is an example of what the envelope looks like, I just simply had printed on the outside of the reminder notice in red ink, final reminder. As of this morning, when I left my office, I had 1,621 delinquent accounts. That is low for this time of year from where I've been, down by about 1,000. That 1 penny has saved a lot of money and is going to present a far lower number of properties going to tax sales. So I'm very interested in serving the community and not the government and not the newspaper industry.
Okay.
Thank you.
Questions? I think we're good. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry? Except the newspaper, yeah.
Are you being heckled by our members?
You know that wasn't too long ago because I'm only 30. Right?
Thank you. Okay, we have someone here for House Bill 614.
Thank you to see you, John.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Matt Dudzik on behalf of the Office of the Comptroller. I'm here today presenting on House Bill 614. House Bill 614 is a simple corrective bill that is dealing with the local earned income, tax credit. So generally, when we are calculating the local earned income tax credit, which taxpayers are able to claim against their county income taxes, there's a fairly simple formula that is 10 times the county income tax rate for the taxable year. However, where we run into some issues is with counties that have multiple tax rates, which right now is Anne Arundel and Frederick counties. Because there is no single tax rate, we have to make a determination as to which tax rate we're going to be using to calculate this. So this is just a very simple bill that states that, if you are a county with multiple tax rates, we use the lowest one when calculating this local EIC. I urge a favorable report.
Sounds simple enough. Do we have any questions, comments? Okay, thank you. Now, do you have 617?
I do.
Okay, go right ahead.
Once again, for the record, Matt Dudzik with the Office of the Comptroller. This is another very exciting bill. This relates to the Comptroller's authority to record phone calls in our call centers. So I'm sure that most of the members here are very familiar with the kind of stock, this call may be recorded for quality assurance purposes. You will hear a similar message if you call into one of the Comptroller's call centers. We have the ability to record those phone calls for quality assurance, for monitoring. We can retain them for, I believe, 90 days. The language that gives us that authority in Tax General 2-114 references some outdated technology. So specifically, it references an automated call distribution system, or an ACD system, which I'm sure was cutting-edge technology in 2013 when this was first proposed. However, since then, there have been many other types of call systems, call distribution systems, such as priority-based call distribution, interactive voice response, et cetera. So we just want to use neutral language that just says, again, when you call into our call centers, we have the authority to record those phone calls. All the same requirements, though, are still remaining in place.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments? Okay, let's go to House Bill 619.
Great. Thank you. Once again, Matt Dudzik on behalf of the Office of the Comptroller. House Bill 619 is another corrective bill, and this one relates to sales between licensed cannabis businesses and registered cannabis nurseries. So under current law, as is the case with most business-to-business transactions, sales and use tax does not apply to sales between two licensed cannabis businesses, and they're licensed under Title 36 of the Alcoholic Beverages and Cannabis article, for resale. However, the way this is worded created some issues when, under last year's alterations to the Cannabis Reform Act, cannabis nurseries were added. This was originally going to be a licensed category during the negotiations. It ended up becoming a registration process for cannabis nurseries instead. But the law that provides this business-to-business exemption specifically says businesses licensed under Title 36 of the Alcoholic Beverages and Cannabis article. We've spoken to the stakeholders that were involved. This was never an intended consequence of using a registration rather than the licensing model for these cannabis nurseries. So we are simply updating that to make sure that the business-to-business exemption applies in this case as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions? I don't see any. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, this ends the hearing for this afternoon. What do we do next? Anything? Are we finished? Stay tuned for 1 second till we find out.